I think. Okay, so let's move now across the Atlantic and arriving in Brazil. So because one of the next presentation, one of the next presenter, it's Yuri, and he's also very energetic Dracula scholar. I will shorten very a lot his biography. But I will tell that he's a doctor in social communication and from the UERJ, from the University State of Rio de Janeiro, master in social communication from the same university. Also, he's having a postgraduate degree in higher education teaching from UCAM, another university from Brazil. But what came in my view when I look on his biography was Ipanema. So it's written here that he's was member of Association of Film Critics of Rio de Janeiro between 2018 and 2021, and curator of the Silvia Oroz Cine Club from Estácio de Sá University, Tom Jobim campus. Why? Because I visited in Brazil Yuri, and he lives in his childhood near the beach of the Ipanema. So you know the Garota de Ipanema from Antonio Carlos Jobim and Vinicius de Moraes. And this stops the presentation of Yuri, but I will present the first co-presenter, Alessandra Vallim da Silva Vilela. She's an actress, graduated in performing arts at Federal University of State of Rio de Janeiro, Unirio, and undergraduate cinema student at Estácio de Sá University, where she got a scientific initiation scholarship from a program, CNPQ. Also, she participates of one of the research group, Reflection on Gender and the Trends in Media Productions. Her field of interest is producing researches in cinema horror studies, Dracula and vampires. And unfortunately, I do not have the presentation of the other co-author, Julia Farias. So please, the floor is yours.
No problem, Florian. I have her biography over here. I saw that it was not in the program, so I got it over here. I can compliment this very fast. Julia, she's an actress and undergraduate student at Estácio de Sá University, where she develops research in the scientific initiation program. She participates of the research group Pop Mid, Reflections of Genre and Trends in Media Productions, and her field of interest is producing researches in cinema horror studies, Carmilla, and vampires. Thank you very much for your presentation, Florian. Actually, I am as a supervisor in this work that Alessandra and Julia did, called Nosferatu, Expressionist Imagery and its Artistic Influences. And as a good supervisor, I am just going to supervise, so they are going to present.
Okay, so we have to make presenter Julia or Alessandra?
We can do both.
Oh,
hi, it's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm going to present it. Wait a minute. Oh,
hold
health
on a minute.
disabled.
Yeah. I'm working on it. Just a moment.
Okay.
Right, you should be able to do it now, both of you.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Julia's over there.
I'm Alessandra Vallim,
Yes, I'm here.
and Julia.
Hi.
Julia will begin the presentation. So Julia, you can start.
Okay. Hi, my name is Julia Farias. I'm an actress, singer, voice actress, and I study cinema at Estácio de Sá in Rio de Janeiro. Under the guidance of Yuri Garcia, my research focuses on female characters in horror cinema, but today I will talk a little about Expressionism and Nosferatu. So today my colleague Alessandra and I are going to talk about the art direction of Nosferatu. But before I get there, I'm going to talk a bit about German Expressionism, outlining a bit the historical context in which Nosferatu was set. So, after the First World War, Germany was facing exhaustion, humiliation, and the traumas caused by an overwhelming defeat. So the country was facing a great economic crisis, and the population was very, very worried about what was to come. This movement then turned out to be the consequence of a broken country without any hope. You could say that its vision became dark due to its reality. So, to quote some characteristics quickly, we have extremely stylized sets and performances. It's high contrasted visuals and simple editing, light and shadow play, etc. So the artists through this art movement were able to express all this reality that was complicated and disturbing for everyone. We can state that the visual is necessary and also expresses in various ways what the expressionist artists wanted and needed to say. Next slide, please. Um, so, Nosferatu assumes a different figure from the one found in Bram Stoker's Dracula. While Dracula's monstrosity is not evident in his appearance, since his repulsive and frightening character corresponds more to his behavior and to the creatures around him, Nosferatu resembles a rodent, even though he assumes a human form. So his nails and ears are pointed and large. He's bald, skinny, and has two teeth that look like a mouse. Moving to the next slide, we have a parallel between Nosferatu and the painting The Scream of Edvard Munch. The vampiric figure in Nosferatu is similar to the androgynous figure represented in Edvard Munch's The Scream. Since it's possible to think of Nosferatu as a creature, not necessarily attached to a specific gender, as in Munch's painting, where it's not explicitly a female or male form, it could be anything. Furthermore, the painting carries an emotional charge that traces fear, loneliness, anguish, and even an existential crisis, and can be compared to the mise-en-scène of Nosferatu and also to the character directly, since the vampire represents an immortal monster fated to eternal loneliness. You can continue, Alessandra.
My God. It's okay. Now I'm going to talk about art direction, but I'm going to focus on natural landscapes and objects because there are lots of things to say in art direction, but our job is to focus on it. So We can also say that the monstrosity goes beyond the vampire's physical appearance, because the monstrosity is not limited to the character's physical appearance in Murnau's movie. In philosophy of horror, Carroll explains that the horrifying creature can be surrounded by objects that causes disgust or fear, for example. As in Murnau's film, the natural landscapes and objects and scene convey a horror that goes beyond what we perceive with naked eye. So there is a monstrosity in the natural landscapes and objects, but sometimes it's not visible. Sometimes we can't see it in the frame. So the next talk is about German Expressionism and German Romanticism. There's a connection between German Expressionism and German Romanticism in Nosferatu. The paintings of the German Romanticism brought visual resources and intertextual references to Nosferatu, mainly as of Caspar David Friedrich. He's a painter, he's German, and his important name of German Romanticism. Nosferatu brings a certain naturalism to its use of real locations, which potentializes the emphasis on subjectivity described by Angela Vaquet, since one of the aspects of expressionism is to externalize states of mind. So she observes that the natural landscapes used in Murnau's film go beyond their harmless appearance and are part of hidden desires and fears. The film Nosferatu makes room for the imaginary in the spectator's mind, explored in some natural landscapes. So we can highlight, as an example, the parallel traced by Angela Vaquet between the passage of the vessel through the sea towards the destination of her lock and the painting. The Sailing Boat by Friedrich. In Romantic painting, a couple inside control the ship. In turn, the objects that control the vessel in Nosferatu seem to be dominated by the power of the vampire, whose presence is not visible in the frame, but possibly felt by the spectators. Another parallel traced by her is between the heavy door of the vampire castle, Nosferatu, and the churchyard developed by Friedrich. While Friedrich blurs the limit between the supernatural and the natural, Murnau underlines the entrance into a forest to give importance to the boundaries between what comes from imagination and what is real, or what is monstrous and what is normal. Well, Murnau tries to explore interiority in the natural landscapes of his film, includes the performance of the objects in the scene, since this also provide the exercise of the spectator's imagination beyond what is seen in the frame. So in A Haunted Scream, the author Lotte Eisner gives examples of the relevance of these objects in drama. She says, I'm going to read it. She says, Murnau used the obsession with inanimated objects much better than many fanatics of expressionism. In A Haunted Hold of the Sailing Vessel, in which all the sailors have been struck down by death, the empty hammock of the dead sailor yells on gently swinging, or again, the stripping down the details to the very minimum. Murnau shows nothing but a reflection of the sustained monotonous swinging of a suspended lamp in the desert captain's cabin. Julia is gonna talk about the final considerations of the work before we finished.
Okay, you can hear me?
I can.
Okay, so therefore the composition of the film Nosferatu is very important. in order to understand the work as a whole. So the visuals are necessary and also express in many ways what the expressionist artists wanted and needed to say. The contoured shapes, the shadow play, the exaggerated body language are characteristics present in expressionist works. So thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you for your attention. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you very much. And that's it. My children of the night are over here presenting their work. Florin?
Yes, you wanted to say something because we cannot hear you exactly in the
No,
program.
it's just this. I was just congratulating them, and we can open for questions now.
Yeah, please. Maybe Yuri, you can.
I have a question. Congratulations, ladies. First of all, I know it's not very usual to write your. Is it your MA? Is it your MA thesis or?
Oh, they just wrote for fun.
Oh wow! It's even better. It's even more rare. Well, in that case, congratulations because it's wonderful. It's very rare for young girls like yourselves to get interested in the subject in the first place, and then to make the whole analysis in such an insightful way. So it was really interesting, and of course, me being me, and I'm a film specialist as well, so I can listen about Nosferatu forever, and in any amount. But I was really impressed with the quality of your presentation, especially if it's just for fun, then it's wonderful. We have young scholars in front of our eyes here. Why such a subject? What made you interested in Nosferatu? Was it your supervisor? You're both muted, so
Girls,
you're muted. I can't hear you. I can unmute you actually. Hold on.
Alessandra.
First of all,
Okay.
first of all, it's the first film we can see it because the other film we don't have material to watch it. So first of all, it's the first film we can see, and I love expressionism, German expressionism. So I started studying German expressionism at college. So I found it really interesting. So I started to search for more informations. And first of all, there was a symposium which field was our direction. So we extended our knowledge to our direction. So we started to research our direction after we knew about the symposium. So that's it. And there are not only natural landscapes in this movie. We can talk about interior of house, of the castle. There are lots of important things that tells us about the invisible, the creatures associated to Nosferatu, like polyp. I don't know how to say it in English. Polyp, I don't know. But it's really interesting to me. I don't know if Julia wants to say something about it, but for me, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Yuri introduced us to research, of course, and German expressionism is my favorite movement in cinema. And I have always been curious about female characters, and so because of Yuri's guidance, I started reading about Carmilla and Nosferatu. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. The presentation was very mature, especially for young students like yourself. So congratulations again. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hans, I believe that's yes, of course, a round of applause. But
thank you so much for this insight into the influence of expressionism. If we go to the social reality, you speak about the hopeless situation in Germany that in the end led to the rise of fascism. Do you also see in Nosferatu any foreboding of this social disaster that was going to come a couple of years later? Or do you think that there's no political direct relationship between the movie and the horrible events that later followed up in Germany in the 1930s and 40s?
Alessandra, Julia?
I don't know. I think political is always there, specifically in cinema and in horror movies. So I think in Nosferatu it's not different because we have this thing about the First World War. And this is very important to the movie in general because um, we talked about.
You got mute, Julia.
I'm a little bit nervous, so Yuri, you can help me, please.
Okay. The first class I gave to both of them, the first thing I said, we talked about art a lot, and I always say that art and politics they have a direct link, and there's no art without politics, even in a unconscious form. And I think that Nosferatu has a very intrinsic dialogue with the fascist events that was going to happen in Germany, but as well as a lot Eisner points in her book. But I think that the for me at least, I get really divided if this fascist symptom that Germany was going to be spread is visually intentioned in the movie, or if some of these elements are more unconscious in a feeling, in a mood that Germany was passing through that period. So it's something that kind of divides me a little bit when I think about Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you maybe remember that in the last conference, Peter Goltz made a presentation about Nosferatu, and he pointed to the flood of rats that were flooding over the town and infecting everything. But of course, that's a kind of foreboding that can only be captured in a mood and not in a precise projection of what is going to happen in history.
Yeah, that's pretty much of it. Thank you. But thank you for the question, Hans. It was really nice. Anybody else?
I forgot to say that the plague in the film is seen as a danger to the population and was placed in the film to also treat the vampire as disgusting. So there is the figure of the rat for this parallel. I forgot to say that.
I don't know if, can I say something?
Of course.
Okay. I don't know if it is unconscious, as you just said, but there's a woman that saves the entire city from the foreigner that brings the plague. So maybe there is a kind of politics in here, but I don't know. I'm also divided because I don't know if it's unconscious or it's by its own purpose. Yeah, it's only. I mean, I'm divided.
All right, thank you very much, ladies. Yuri, because you're chairing this session.
Okay,
Just
yeah,
one-
that's what that
I
was
keep
exact.
stealing chairing from people. Sorry.
No problem. So let's move on, and we are going to have. Let me just open the program over here because my computer is very frozen actually. Help! My computer's frozen. I can't see nothing actually. Technical problems, and Enrique's not here to help us.
Yeah.